Jaghatai Khan, the most distant of my sons, not in defiance nor in disdain, but by nature. Even I could not fully define him, and perhaps for that, he remained the most free. When the warp scattered the infants I had wrought, fate did not place him in chains, nor did it give him to monsters. It cast him into wind and sky, into endless horizons, and the kind of silence that speaks not of despair, but of motion. It cast him onto Chogoris. There, under alien stars, he became a ghost on the steppes, a rider, nameless at first, who raced with the wind and struck like lightning. The tribes knew only death until he came, until he brought fire not for conquest, but for liberation. He did not build thrones of skulls. He broke them. He did not rule by fear. He earned loyalty through swiftness, clarity, justice. He was not loud, not boastful. His words were few, but when spoken, they fell like thunder. And when I found him at last, he did not kneel. He stood still and silent, and watched me with the calm of a man who had already measured my worth. When I offered him command of the 5th Legion, he accepted it not as a gift, but as a challenge, and he reshaped it in his image. The white scars became wind and blade, scholars of velocity, philosophers of war. To the outsider they seemed wild, feral, even undisciplined, but I knew better. Beneath the howling charges and sudden strikes was a precision that shamed even Gilliman's formations. Their fury was a mask, their control absolute. Jaghatai understood war in a way few others did, not as a test of endurance nor a contest of numbers, but as a moment of clarity, a burst of action that shattered doubt. To him, the battlefield was not a place of glory or pain. It was a path, a road to understanding and to silence. He loved silence, not the absence of sound, but the absence of lies. Where others built empires of words, he let silence speak for him. When he rode, it was with the weight of purpose, not vanity. And his men followed him, not because they were ordered to, but because to ride with the Khan was to taste the wind and know freedom. He was not like the others. He did not seek power as Horus did. He did not seek perfection as Fulgrim did. He did not seek peace like Lorgar's twisted illusions. He simply sought the path. That would not shackle him. Even among his brothers he was distant. He did not join their councils unless he must. He did not argue for dominance or doctrine. He listened, he measured, and when he spoke, the others listened. If only because he did not speak lightly, he laughed too. Not often, but with sincerity. He laughed with his warriors, with mortals. Not from scorn, but from a recognition of life's fleeting fire. He read poetry in languages long dead, debated philosophy under alien moons, and then, without ceremony, he would ride into battle and leave nothing but blood and silence behind. And yet, I saw in him something dangerous. Not betrayal, not rebellion, but a refusal to be caught, a refusal to be pinned beneath the weight of any ideal but his own. He served the Imperium because he chose to, not because he was bound, and I knew even then that, should the day come when the Imperium strayed too far from what he believed it should be, he would not follow blindly. During the Great Crusade, he was relentless. Planets fell before him like grass before the wind, and yet there was no cruelty in it. He did not relish destruction. He saw war as necessity, not identity. He did not build monuments. He left behind clean skies and open roads. Many of his brothers underestimated him, mistook his silence for disinterest, his laughter for lack of depth. Gilliman questioned his discipline. Perturabo dismissed his tactics as reckless. Even Rogal Dorn, ever the watchtower, could not fathom a war fought without walls. But I saw the patterns in his madness, the geometry in his chaos. I saw that where others built prisons of order, Jaghatai built escape routes. He did not wish to rule, he wished to move, to think, to be. He never asked for recognition. He never demanded remembrance. But his name rode on the lips of every commander who saw 1,000 foes fall before the thunder of White Scar's engines. His name became a whisper of fear and wonder, and through it all, he remained distant, not cold, not cruel, but apart. He was never mine to command, in truth. He was mine only because he allowed it. And then came the heresy. I watched as the storm began to build. Horus, the warmonger, Lorgar, the prophet, Angron, the berserker, Fulgrim, the defiled. One by one, my sons were torn from reason and made into monsters. But Jaghatai did not choose quickly. He did not leap to my defense. Nor did he race to the side of Horus. He waited. He listened. He rode the winds of war, and sought not vengeance, but truth. For all his swiftness, he was slow to judge, because he knew what it meant to commit, and he knew that once committed, he would not turn back. I remember the message he sent me then. I will not ride for any banner until I see where the wind truly blows. Some saw it as hesitation. I knew better. It was clarity, a refusal to be used. He fought traitors. He defended what he believed to be right, not because I ordered it, but because his heart, unclouded by politics or pride, told him where the line must be drawn. And when the blood dried and terror still stood, he did not ask for reward. He did not stand among his brothers to be counted. He rode again, into the stars, into the silence he loved. Even after the fires of the heresy, when the galaxy reeled and the scars of betrayal had barely begun to scab, he did not rest. He did not stop. Others lingered. Gilliman in his fortresses, Vulcan in sorrow, Dawn behind walls and iron. But Jaghatai rode, as if the war had never ended. Or perhaps as if it never had for him. Because for the Khan, war was not a campaign with a start and finish. It was a road, a path upon which the Imperium's soul could still be pursued and possibly salvaged. He saw what we became after the heresy, the bureaucracy, the silence, the rot of stagnation hiding beneath the guise of security. And though he did not raise his voice in defiance, he also did not stay to become part of the machine. He fought the remnants of the traitor legions in the farthest reaches of the Imperium. He vanished into the dark spaces between stars where order faltered and truth flickered like a dying flame. He hunted what others dared not name. The White Scars did not return to Terra for ceremonies. They did not rebuild shrines. They did not beg for medals. They rode, and in their wake, war bands broke, corsairs vanished. Traitor fleets went silent. Some called them ghosts. Some believed they had abandoned us. But I knew better. They were chasing a war the rest of us had stopped believing in. Jaghatai Khan never forgot that the heresy did not end with Horus. He knew that rot does not vanish with the cutting of a single branch. And he knew that in the shadows of the Imperium, the warp still whispered, and the old enemy still stirred. The Khan had always seen further. And then he vanished. There was no final message, no last stand, no grave. He rode into the darkness and was simply gone. Some say he fell in battle, some say he was taken, some whisper of the webway, of Xenos foes older than our empire, of a final pursuit into realms not mapped on any chart, chasing prey no one else could see. I do not know, but I believe he chose it, because if there was one thing that defined him, it was the refusal to be still. He could not watch the Imperium ossify into something he would not recognize. He could not remain and be swallowed by the slow decay of what we built. So he rode, perhaps into death, perhaps into legend, perhaps into something stranger still. And if he lives, if even now in the distant dark Jaghatai Khan walks, then he is not waiting. He is moving, riding, chasing some thread of war or truth that the rest of us have long since let go. I see echoes of him still, in the sudden collapse of pirate kingdoms, in the precision of raids no loyalist fleet claims, in the fear on the faces of warlords who do not know what hunts them. The white scars remain, scattered, yet sharp. His sons still ride, still seek, still vanish into the void where the air smells of storm and silence. They do not speak of him, but they do not forget, because you cannot forget the wind. Jaghatai Khan was not my most loyal son. He was not my most faithful. He was not the strongest, nor the most ambitious, but he was perhaps the freest. And freedom is a dangerous thing. It asks questions empires cannot answer. It leaves doors open where rulers want them shut. It rides ahead beyond the horizon, refusing to be tamed. In that, he was a reminder of what we were meant to be, of what we might still be if we dared. And though I crafted him, though I shaped the seed that became the Khan, I cannot claim him. He was mine, but only for a while. Now he belongs to the wind, and the wind does not kneel. If he returns, it will not be to seek permission. It will not be to beg absolution or claim a throne. It will be because some new threat rises on the farthest borders of the stars, because something older than the heresy stirs, because some shadow has grown too bold, and the Khan has seen it. And then in that hour, before any messenger can speak, before the High Lords can name it, before the armies of mankind can even turn to face it, he will be there, a blur of white and red and gold, a thunderclap where none should be. And in his wake, silence, not the silence of suppression, not the silence of fear, but the silence of a storm that has passed, of justice delivered at the speed of truth. Jaghatai Khan, the wind I tried to grasp, the sun I could never hold, the last rider of the open stars. And if he never returns, if the void has claimed him, then let him be remembered not as a shadow or a ghost, but as what he was. Freedom made flesh, a blade without a leash, a question without an answer, a storm that bowed to no master.